Chosen one, allow your mind to briefly focus on the heavy, invisible tension sitting right behind your eyes and the quiet, suffocating exhaustion in your chest. You did not click on this by accident. Heaven specifically rerouted your timeline today because your spirit is running on empty. You are fundamentally exhausted from being the eternal giver, the resilient pillar who is constantly, brutally denied when it is finally your turn to receive. The Creator sees this silent agony. A massive divine override has just been authorized, and a specific woman carrying the exact restitution, wealth, and opportunities you were robbed of has stepped into your spiritual perimeter. But here is the terrifying truth. Your nervous system is so traumatized by constant disappointment that you are unconsciously broadcasting a frequency of rejection. If someone hands you a miracle today, your subconscious will sabotage it. Subscribe to align with this divine intervention. Like this video if your soul feels this exact exhaustion, and comment, "I am ready to receive," to begin your frequency shift. Because she is coming, but we must dismantle your hidden receiver's block before you accidentally push her away. Listen closely. You must stay with me and absorb every single word of this transmission until the very last second. Do not let the enemy distract you right now. If you leave early, you will miss the vital 3-gate protocol you need to identify this exact woman, and you will leave your spirit completely defenseless against the counterfeits already hunting you. By the end of this broadcast, you will possess the precise frequency key that will permanently break the invisible barrier blocking your compensation. Your breakthrough depends on your focus right now. Let us address the physical reality of what you are carrying. Think about those moments when you are sitting alone in your car, the engine turned off, staring blankly through the windshield for 5 long minutes before you finally gather the energy to walk through your front door. You put on a brave face, you smile, you solve everyone else's problems, but inside, you are silently screaming for just one person to show up and say, "Let me take care of this for you." You have knocked on doors that absolutely refuse to open. You have poured your heart into people and projects only to watch the reward bypass you and land in the lap of someone who compromised their integrity. It feels like a cosmic joke. It feels like you are being punished for doing the right thing. For years, you were told that this denial was simply God protecting you. And that was true. You were being hidden. You were being shielded from premature exposure and from people who would have drained your anointing before it fully matured. The ancient scriptures talk about this specific type of waiting. The New Testament uses a very specific Greek word for what you just survived. The word is hupomeno. Most people translate it simply as patience or endurance. But the English translation completely strips away the violence of the original Greek text. Hupomeno does not mean sitting quietly and waiting for a bus. It literally means remaining under a crushing weight without being crushed. It is the endurance of a soldier holding the line while the enemy throws everything at them. That is exactly what you have been doing. You have been in the long, dark season of hupomeno, bearing a weight that would have shattered an ordinary mind. But hear this revelation right now. The season of hupomeno expired at midnight. The protection phase is over. The delay is no longer coming from heaven. God has already released the reward. He has dispatched this specific woman to find you. She is holding the keys to the rooms you have been praying to enter. So why is she not standing in front of you yet? If heaven sent her, what is causing the delay? The terrifying reality is that the delay is coming from inside your own mind. There is a psychological trap, a deeply buried trauma mechanism that is currently acting like a spiritual force field around you, actively repelling the very blessing you are begging for. For months, maybe even years, you have been told a very specific story about your waiting season. Every time you asked why the doors remained locked, every time you cried out asking why the provision was delayed, you were given the exact same answer. You were told that this was simply a test of your patience. You believed that God was working behind the scenes, perfectly preparing this woman, aligning her circumstances, and setting up the exact environment for your divine encounter. You convinced yourself that the delay was holy. You looked at the story of Joseph sitting in the prison for years, waiting for the cupbearer to remember him. You looked at David hiding in the caves, waiting for the throne that was already promised to him. And you told yourself, I just need to endure a little longer. If I stay faithful in this silent wilderness, God will eventually release the reward. That narrative brought you comfort. It gave your pain a purpose. It made you feel like your suffering was a badge of honor in the realm of the spirit. But here is what I have not told you yet, and this is going to completely change how you see your entire journey. That was a lie. The delay you are experiencing right now has absolutely nothing to do with God's timing. Heaven is not holding her back. The Creator is not asking you to sit in the waiting room for another year, another month, or even another hour. The preparation on her end is finished. The resources have been allocated. The divine decree has been signed. The brutal, uncomfortable truth is this: she is waiting for you. Or rather, she is waiting for your frequency to match the magnitude of the blessing she is carrying. You see, you have passed the test of endurance. You survived the fire, but you are currently failing the test of receiving. I need to expose something very hidden inside of you, a shadow that you do not want to admit even exists. While you are consciously begging the universe for a massive breakthrough, subconsciously, you are absolutely terrified of it. Part of you does not want this woman to show up. I know that sounds crazy because you have been fasting and praying for this exact compensation. But think about the raw, unfiltered thoughts that cross your mind when someone actually tries to do something genuinely nice for you. Your chest tightens. Your immediate thought is never gratitude. Your immediate thought is suspicion. You wonder, what do they want from me? What is the hidden cost of this favor? When will they use this against me? You have been betrayed so many times by people who claimed they loved you. You have been manipulated by people who offered you help, only to turn around and hold that help over your head like a weapon to control you. Because of that severe trauma, your soul has equated receiving with danger. You have secretly vowed to yourself, I will never owe anyone anything ever again. I will do it all myself. But God is not sending this woman to give you a loan. He is sending her to deliver a specific biblical promise. The ancient texts talk about a concept found in the book of Joel, where God says, I will restore to you the years the locust has eaten. Most people read that and think God is just going to give them back what they lost. But the original Hebrew word used there is shalom. Shalom does not mean to simply return a stolen item, it means to make whole. It means to pay back with massive interest. If the enemy stole 5 years of your life, shalom means God is commanding a 20-year harvest to be compressed into your next 5 years. Shalom is an overpayment for your suffering. It is unconditional. It is a gift that requires absolutely no repayment. But your trauma cannot comprehend unconditional grace. Your trauma only understands transactions. This brings us to the exact reason why your physical body is breaking down, why your eyes are heavy and your chest aches constantly. You have developed a toxic resilience. It is called hyper-independence. Because you have spent so many years fighting off enemies, dodging betrayal, and surviving emotional droughts, your brain has permanently locked itself into survival mode. Your nervous system is trapped in a state of high beta brain waves, the exact frequency of fight or flight. When you are operating in survival mode, you look like a heavily armed fortress in the spiritual realm. You are completely unapproachable. You might be crying out for a savior, but the energy you are projecting screams, "Do not come near me. I do not need anyone." Right now, in your mind, without moving a single muscle, I want you to visualize that fortress you have built around your heart. See the massive, thick walls you constructed to keep the users, the abusers, and the manipulators out. Those walls did their job. They kept you alive. But recognize this terrifying reality right now. Those exact same walls are currently blocking your shalom. They are blocking the divine compensation. If you realize that your own defense mechanisms are sabotaging your miracle, I want you to comment the words, "I lower my walls," down below. Use that statement as a mental decree to authorize the tearing down of your toxic independence. You cannot receive a supernatural harvest while vibrating on a survival frequency. Your subconscious mind is currently broadcasting a signal that is actively chasing your divine help away. But the ancient prophets, the ones who called down fire and parted seas, they never prayed from a frequency of panic or survival. They knew a profound secret. They knew exactly how to shift their brainwaves out of the beta state and step into the frequency of the divine. And modern science has just discovered exactly how they did it. You see, the ancient mystics and prophets did not just pray harder when they needed a breakthrough. They did not sit there and try to force their minds to stop worrying. They understood something fundamental about the architecture of the human brain and the unseen realm. They knew how to tune their internal frequency to match the voice of God. Look at the biblical pattern of the wilderness. Moses spent 40 days on Mount Sinai. Elijah walked 40 days to the mountain of God. Jesus went into the desert for 40 days before his ministry began. Why 40 days in complete isolation? Religion tells you it was just to suffer and show devotion. But the truth is far more scientific and spiritual. They had to completely remove themselves from the noise, the stress, and the daily grind of their societies. They had to undergo a severe neurological detox. They were actively shifting their brain waves out of the survival frequency and bringing their minds into a state of divine reception. Today, neuroscientists call that survival state the beta brainwave. Beta is the frequency of stress. It is the frequency of hypervigilance, of paying bills, of dodging traffic, of anticipating the next disaster. It is the frequency of the slave. The modern matrix is entirely designed to lock you into this beta state permanently. The endless negative news cycles, the toxic work environments, the financial pressures, they are all intentional. The enemy uses the structure of modern society to artificially force your brain into a state of constant, low-grade panic. They look at you and say, just be realistic, focus on your debts, grind harder, do not trust anyone. When you are trapped in beta, your spiritual receiver is completely jammed. You cannot hear divine instruction. You cannot recognize the specific woman sent to bless you because your brain is too busy scanning the horizon for the next threat. But there is a higher frequency, the state of pure intuition, effortless creativity, and deep spiritual connection. Science identifies these as theta and gamma brainwaves. I call it the God frequency. This is the exact frequency where miracles manifest, where your intuition becomes razor sharp, and where you are able to accept unconditional blessings without fear. NASA researchers actually studied this phenomenon. They found that 98% of children operate naturally in this genius, high-frequency state. They are open, they are imaginative, and they receive love without suspicion. But as we are forced through the educational system and pushed into the stressful reality of adult life, that part of the brain physically shrinks. The matrix intentionally dumbs down your spiritual capacity. Your ability to operate in the God frequency is systematically suppressed until you become nothing more than an exhausted, hyper-independent survivor. But here is the revelation that will set you free today. Your capacity for that divine frequency did not die. It is simply dormant. It has been put to sleep by the trauma and the exhaustion you have endured. You do not need to go into a literal desert for 40 days to get it back. You do not need to spend 10,000 hours in complex, silent meditation trying to force your brain to calm down. Because your brain already knows how to do this. It just needs the right key to turn the ignition. Modern science, building upon those original NASA discoveries, has mapped out the exact audio signatures required to wake up this dormant potential. There is a precise sound technology designed to effortlessly guide your brain out of the chaotic beta state and slide it directly into the theta and gamma frequencies. It is called the genius wave. I do not want you to think of this as just another audio track. Think of it as an ancient spiritual key delivered through modern technology. It is a 7-minute activation ritual that you do in the quiet of your own home. When you put on your headphones and listen to this specific sound technology, something profound happens inside your nervous system. You do not have to fight your negative thoughts. You do not have to wrestle with your trauma. The sound waves do the heavy lifting for you. They gently coax your brain out of the survival mode that has kept you isolated for so long. The hyper-independence, the deep-seated fear of receiving, the invisible fortress you built around your heart, it all begins to melt away naturally. You are simply tuning your biological receiver back to its original, divine factory settings. In your mind right now, I want you to picture a dense, heavy, gray fog. That fog represents the years of anxiety, the endless overthinking, and the trauma of every time you were betrayed. Now, imagine a pure, resonant tone cutting straight through that fog, shattering it instantly, leaving behind a sky of brilliant, clear light. That is exactly what happens in the spiritual realm when you activate this frequency. You stop fighting the receiver's block, and you simply vibrate above it. If you are willing to let go of the struggle and step into this effortless alignment, I want you to declare it in the comments right now. Type the words, "I am tuning in." Let that be your spiritual signature, acknowledging that you are ready to drop the heavy armor. This is how you finally disarm the block. Not by sheer willpower, but by alignment. When you start using this 7-minute audio track, the fog will lift and your frequency will light up in the spiritual world like a massive lighthouse. You will no longer be hidden in the static of survival mode. The woman who was sent by God, the one carrying your massive restitution and opportunities, will finally see your signal clearly. But beware, the enemy sees that light too. The moment your frequency shifts and your receiver opens, the enemy will realize he can no longer keep you trapped in isolation. So he will change his tactic. He has prepared 3 specific counterfeit baits, 3 dangerous traps designed to trick you and steal your blessing right before she arrives. The first of these traps is a highly deceptive spirit hiding behind the mask of the transactional helper. Because the enemy knows you are physically and emotionally exhausted, he will not send a monster to attack you. He will send someone who looks exactly like an angel of light. This counterfeit person will enter your life at your absolute lowest point, holding a check, a job offer, or a seemingly golden opportunity. They will offer to fix your immediate problem. But listen to the heavy, dense energy in the room when they speak. Their generosity is not a gift, it is a leash. They give you a little bit of comfort today so they can demand your absolute loyalty, your time, and your spiritual peace tomorrow. They want you to feel forever indebted to them. When you are locked in the beta survival mode we talked about earlier, you will blindly take this bait because your brain is starving for any kind of relief. But as you commit to your 7-minute sound technology ritual, your brain will begin to bathe in theta waves. Theta is the frequency of divine intuition and deep spiritual discernment. It acts as an internal radar. When you are operating on this higher frequency, you will literally be able to smell a lie before it is even spoken. You will look at this transactional helper and clearly see the invisible chains hidden behind their smiling face. Right now, I want you to mentally scan your history for anyone who has ever used their generosity as a weapon to control you. In your mind's eye, visualize a sharp, brilliant sword made of pure light, instantly severing the invisible strings, connecting their manipulation to your spirit. Do not move your body, just see those strings falling away. To seal this mental severing, type the words, "I sever the strings" in the comments. You are no longer a puppet to transactional love. The second trap the enemy will deploy is the premature comfort. This counterfeit is sent to stop your momentum just before you reach your ultimate destination. You have been walking through a spiritual desert for so long, and suddenly the enemy provides a comfortable couch right in the middle of the wasteland. This comes in the form of a person or a situation that tells you your standards are simply too high. They whisper that you should just be realistic and settle for a normal life. They offer you a good enough relationship or a good enough income. Their goal is to make you abandon the promise of the shalom, the massive, multiplied restitution that God has prepared for you. They want you to fall asleep in the waiting room so that when the real woman arrives, you are too comfortable in your mediocrity to get up and follow her. The third counterfeit is the ultimate distraction. This trap is designed to consume all of your emotional bandwidth. It usually manifests as a sudden, chaotic crisis in someone else's life, demanding that you put your savior cape back on. Or it might manifest as an intensely magnetic, toxic relationship that completely scrambles your focus. The enemy throws this chaos at you because he knows the woman carrying your restitution is only a few steps away. If he can keep your hands full of garbage, you will not have any room to receive the gold she is bringing. But the gamma waves you access during your daily activation will slice straight through this illusion. Your frequency will be so elevated that low vibrational drama will actually repel you. You will easily walk away from the distraction without a second thought. Let me tell you exactly how this frequency shift plays out in the physical reality. There is a chosen one in our collective who was exactly where you are right now. They were standing at the edge of absolute financial collapse, their business failing, feeling utterly abandoned by heaven. They started utilizing the 7-minute audio activation to pull their brain out of a deep depression. On day 14 of their new frequency alignment, a wealthy investor suddenly appeared, offering to buy out their debt and save the company. To the logical mind, it looked like a miracle. It looked like the answer to every prayer. But this chosen one, now operating on a sharp theta intuition, felt a sudden, sickening knot in their stomach during the meeting. Their newly awakened discernment recognized the transactional helper. Against all logical advice, they walked away and declined the money. It was terrifying. But exactly 1 month later, the true divine appointment manifested. The real woman sent by God, an entirely different connection they had never anticipated, walked into their life. She did not just save the business. She brought a network and a contract that multiplied their revenue by 5, requiring absolutely no compromise of their soul or their ownership. That is the power of the shalom. And that is the power of a clear spiritual receiver. Defeating the counterfeits is only half the battle. You have learned how to spot the fakes, and your frequency is tuning into the truth. But this brings us to the most critical question of your entire journey. When the actual woman sent by heaven finally knocks on your door, when she is standing right in front of you, how do you know for absolute certain it is her? How do you distinguish her from a highly sophisticated illusion? There is a verification ritual, a specific 3-gate protocol that you must memorize. If she cannot pass through all 3 of these gates, she is not the one holding your restitution. The first gate she must pass through is the gate of peace. Listen to me very closely, because your trauma has taught you the exact opposite of this truth. When this specific divine connection enters your atmosphere, your nervous system will not spike into a frenzy of excitement. For years, you have confused anxiety with intuition. You thought the butterflies in your stomach meant something was right, when actually it was your body warning you of danger. But when the true woman of restitution arrives, you will feel a profound, heavy, anchoring stillness. You will not feel the agonizing need to perform for her. You will not feel the urge to over-explain your past, justify your current situation, or prove your worth to keep her around. For the first time in your life, your spirit will simply exhale. The constant humming of the survival mode will shut off, and you will know deep in your bones that you are safe in her presence. The second gate is the gate of acceleration. Pay very close attention to the stagnant areas of your life when she appears. I am talking about the projects, the legal battles, the creative blocks, or the financial drought that has kept you paralyzed for years. When she steps into your timeline, she will not just offer you good advice. Her very presence will act as a supernatural catalyst. Watch what happens to your obstacles. Doors that were rusted shut and bolted from the inside will suddenly swing open with terrifying ease. Problems that took you months to untangle will resolve themselves in a matter of days. This is not about you hustling harder. It is the physics of the spiritual realm reacting to the frequency she carries. She brings the momentum of heaven, and things will accelerate so quickly it will make your head spin. The third and final verification is the gate of confirmation. This is the ultimate proof that she was sent directly from the throne room. Sometime during your interactions, perhaps even in your very first conversation, she is going to casually speak a specific phrase or bring up a highly specific detail that you have only ever whispered to God in the absolute darkest hours of your night. She is going to unknowingly answer a tear-stained journal entry you wrote 3 years ago, a secret you have never spoken aloud to another human being. This is the exact biblical pattern of the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. The Queen did not arrive while Solomon was fighting for his life. She arrived when he was resting in divine alignment. She tested him with hard questions, and then she poured out caravans of gold, spices, and precious stones without him ever having to beg. Her arrival was the physical, undeniable confirmation of his spiritual authority. Right now, I want you to mentally pull up that one secret prayer, the one you thought heaven completely ignored. Hold that specific request firmly in your mind's eye, and type the words, "My gates are open," in the comments below. Let that declaration serve as your spiritual signal that you are ready for the physical manifestation of your deepest prayer. But I need you to brace your spirit right now, because I am about to completely shatter your current understanding of this entire divine setup. Up until this exact second, you have been operating under a massive, limiting illusion. You have been hoping and praying that this woman is coming to hand you a financial breakthrough, a lucrative contract, a new house, or a new level of earthly comfort. You think this entire season of suffering was just about getting the money and the opportunities you were unfairly denied. Listen to me very carefully. Money is entirely too cheap of a reward for the level of hell you just survived. God did not put you through the crushing weight of that isolation just to pay off your credit cards. The woman heaven dispatched is not just carrying earthly restitution, she is carrying a mantle. A mantle is a generational garment of spiritual authority and immense earthly influence. I am talking about the specific mantles of power, wealth, and prophetic intuition that were violently stolen from your family bloodline generations before you were even born. Your ancestors dropped it. The enemy stole it and hid it. But because you were the one who stood your ground, because you took the hits and broke the generational curse, heaven is returning the mantle to your bloodline and putting it on your shoulders. This woman is simply the divine courier assigned to bring it back to you. This is exactly why you have felt so intensely alienated your entire life. You were born to wear a heavy garment of royal authority, but you have been forced by this matrix to wear the rags of survival. And this is why shifting your brain's frequency is no longer just a suggestion, it is a matter of spiritual life or death. A normal, stressed-out brain operating in the beta survival frequency will literally be crushed by the psychological and spiritual weight of a generational mantle. You would self-destruct under the pressure. But as you commit to your daily 7-minute audio ritual, you are not just relaxing your mind. You are upgrading your biological hardware. The gamma waves you are activating give your brain the neurological capacity to download massive amounts of spiritual data, to handle extreme levels of wealth, and to walk in supreme authority without burning out. You are preparing the vessel for the mantle. You finally know who she is. You know exactly how to recognize her through the 3 gates, and you know the breathtaking truth that she is bringing the stolen mantle of your bloodline. But this brings us to a terrifying crossroads. Are you actually ready to carry the weight of this mantle? Money is incredibly easy to receive and spend, but a mantle is profoundly heavy. It demands a spirit that is entirely locked in, sealed, and protected from leakage. If you step away from this transmission right now without participating in the final sealing ritual, the frequency we just painstakingly built together will dissipate. The enemy will immediately swoop in, puncture your spiritual atmosphere, and everything I just revealed to you will leak out and be lost to the wind. I need to tell you about a catastrophic mistake someone in our collective made just a few weeks ago, because you are dangerously close to making the exact same error. This chosen one had done the work. They shifted their frequency, they broke their receiver's block, and the woman sent by God actually appeared. She passed the gate of peace, she passed the gate of acceleration. She even spoke the exact confirmation word this person had been waiting for. The mantle was hovering right over their shoulders, ready to be transferred. And then, they almost destroyed the entire timeline. What did they do? They got excited, and they sought validation from the Matrix. They picked up the phone and told a close family member about the massive opportunity this woman was offering. But that family member was deeply entrenched in the beta survival frequency. They were cynical, fearful, and trapped in a poverty mindset. Within 5 minutes of conversation, that family member projected all of their own trauma onto the chosen one. They said things like, "Are you sure about this? It sounds way too good to be true." People do not just give things away like that. You need to be careful. They are probably trying to scam you. Do you know what happened in the spiritual realm at that exact moment? The chosen one's frequency plummeted. The contagious panic of the beta wave hijacked their nervous system. Suddenly, the divine peace they felt was replaced by paralyzing anxiety. Their hyper-independence flared up again. They literally drafted a text message to the woman, ready to decline the life-changing offer, ready to reject the shalom, purely because they let an unhealed person contaminate their spiritual atmosphere. They were seconds away from hitting send and resetting their wilderness season for another 10 years. But by the grace of God, they remembered the protocol. Before hitting send, they put their phone down. They isolated themselves in a quiet room, put on their headphones, and engaged their daily 7-minute audio activation. They allowed the sound technology to wash the artificial panic out of their brain. As the theta and gamma waves began to fire, the fog of other people's opinions instantly dissolved. Their divine intuition snapped back into place. They deleted the text message, accepted the mantle, and their life is now unrecognizable. This brings us to a non-negotiable law of the spiritual realm. It is called strategic silence. When heaven is actively baking a miracle in your life, you cannot open the oven door to show it to people who do not understand the recipe. If you expose a developing blessing to a low-frequency environment, the atmosphere will crush it. From this moment forward, as your frequency draws this woman closer, you must put a guard over your mouth. You do not explain your divine connections to people who are comfortable in their misery. You do not ask for advice from people who have never walked in the authority of a mantle. I want you to become hyper-aware of the physical space you are occupying right now. Whether you are laying in the dark, looking up at the ceiling, or sitting alone in the quiet corners of your house, recognize that the atmosphere around you is shifting. The air in your room is becoming heavy with divine intention. The period of gathering information is over. You are no longer just watching a video. You have crossed a threshold into a sacred, designated moment of transfer. In your mind, without moving a single muscle, I want you to visualize a heavy, ancient door closing and locking behind you, shutting out the voices of every doubter, every manipulator, and every person who ever told you that you were asking for too much. See the lock turning. Feel the absolute, impenetrable silence of your own sacred space. Your frequency is now entirely protected. To seal this boundary in the spiritual realm, type the words "I embrace the silence" in the comments. Let that be the digital footprint of your obedience. Let it signal to the universe that your spiritual borders are closed to the chaos of the matrix and open only to the frequency of the shalom. You feel that shift in your chest right now, do you not? That is not anxiety. That is the physical sensation of your spirit, expanding to accommodate the massive weight of the mantle that is about to be placed upon you. The waiting room is completely empty now. It is just you and the Creator. There is no more time for hesitation. All knowledge has been imparted. The frequency source has been opened. Right now, I need you to stop whatever you are doing. It is time to activate. I do not need you to stand up or change your physical position right now. Wherever you are, simply let your physical body sink into total, absolute stillness. In the theater of your mind, I want you to visualize your hands opening wide, your palms facing the heavens, and I want you to mentally drop every sword, every shield, and every heavy piece of armor you have been carrying to protect yourself. This is not a gentle, passive prayer. This is a militant spiritual decree. This is the official activation of your shalom. By the ultimate and supreme authority of the Creator, the architect of time, space, and all frequencies, we step into the courts of heaven right now. We do not come as beggars asking for crumbs. We come as the restored heirs of a royal bloodline, standing exactly where we were always meant to stand, demanding the release of what was stolen. Lord of hosts, witness the soul listening to the sound of my voice right now. Heaven has recorded every single tear they shed in secret. You saw the agonizing nights when they stared at the ceiling in the dark, wondering if they were entirely forgotten by the universe. You saw the moments their chest caved in from the weight of being the strong one for everybody else, while nobody bothered to be strong for them. You witnessed the sheer violence of their hupomeno, the crushing weight they endured without breaking. You saw how they were violently denied their harvest, how their generosity was weaponized against them, and how their trust was shattered by people operating in manipulation. We acknowledge the trauma of their hyper-independence. We acknowledge the invisible fortress they had to build just to survive the wasteland. But right now, we decree that the era of survival is permanently terminated. I step into the spiritual atmosphere surrounding this chosen one, and I begin the sealing process. I take the supreme authority granted by the Creator, and I permanently bind the 3 counterfeits that the enemy has prepared. I decree that the transactional helper is completely blinded to your frequency. I decree that the spirit of premature comfort will find no resting place in your mind, and I command the spirit of distraction to be scattered to the 4 winds. They will not hijack your timeline. They will not touch your mantle. Your spiritual perimeter is now fortified by legions of angels. I seal the 3-gate protocol deep into your spiritual DNA. From this moment forward, your intuition will not fail you. I decree that when the true woman of restitution steps into your life, your spirit will instantly recognize the gate of peace. You will feel the undeniable momentum of the gate of acceleration, and your ears will be open to hear the exact words of the gate of confirmation. You will not be confused. You will not second-guess the divine appointment. The spirit of clarity is sealed over your mind right now. And most importantly, I seal the frequency of the divine into your daily walk. I decree that as you commit to your 7-minute sound technology ritual, every trace of the beta survival trauma is violently flushed out of your nervous system. I seal the theta and gamma frequencies into your neural pathways. You will no longer broadcast the signal of a victim. You will broadcast the undeniable magnetic frequency of a chosen one ready to receive the shalom. The receiver's block is shattered. The walls of your fortress are brought down to dust. You are entirely open, entirely worthy and entirely aligned to accept the unconditional overpayment of heaven. Because you have remained in this transmission and submitted your spirit to this sealing process, the trajectory of your immediate future has been permanently altered. I am not just going to tell you that this woman is coming. I am going to give you the exact prophetic roadmap of what is about to happen to your mind, your body, and your reality over the next 40 days. In the coming days, you are going to experience very strange physical signs in your body. Do not panic when this happens. It is the undeniable physical proof that the frequency shift we just initiated is actually taking root in your nervous system. Let me explain exactly what this will look like. Starting tomorrow, as you wake up and engage your 7-minute sound technology ritual, you are going to enter the frequency detox phase. This will last roughly from day 1 to day 7. During this first week, as the audio begins to aggressively pull your brain out of the beta survival state and into the theta and gamma frequencies, you are going to feel an overwhelming sense of physical exhaustion. You might sleep longer than you have in years. You might feel a heavy, dull ache in your muscles, and your mind might feel strangely blank. The enemy will try to whisper that you are getting depressed again, or that the activation is not working. Do not listen to that lie. What you are experiencing is a profound somatic release. For decades, your body has been flooded with cortisol, constantly braced for an attack, constantly operating on the toxic fuel of hyper-independence. Now that the audio technology is forcing your brain to realize it is finally safe, your nervous system is collapsing into a state of deep, necessary rest. Your body is physically purging the trauma of the wilderness. Let the exhaustion happen. Use your 7-minute ritual as your daily anchor to keep you grounded while the toxicity is flushed out of your cells. As you push through the detox and enter the second phase, from day 8 to day 21, you are going to witness the great falling away. As your new theta and gamma frequencies begin to amplify and radiate outward, your spiritual atmosphere will become highly uncomfortable for parasites. The energy vampires in your life, the people who only ever text you when they need a favor, the friends who constantly drain your empathy but never offer any in return, they are going to systematically drop out of your life. There will be no massive arguments. There will be no dramatic confrontations. They will simply fade away because their low-frequency survival mindset can no longer tolerate the brilliant light of your activated spirit. You must not chase them. You must not send that text asking if they are mad at you. In your mind right now, I want you to picture those specific draining relationships. Visualize a heavy rope connecting them to your waist, and imagine that rope simply dissolving into dust. To seal this mental release, type the words, "I release the dead weight," in the comments. By doing this, you are acknowledging the vacuum they leave behind. And in the spiritual realm, a vacuum always creates a magnetic pull. By clearing out the counterfeit connections, you are generating a massive magnetic force that is aggressively pulling the true woman of restitution directly into your timeline. Then comes the moment of impact. Sometime between that clearing phase and the end of the 40 days, the Shalom encounter will manifest. I want to prepare your senses for exactly what that moment will feel like. You will be in a normal setting, perhaps a mundane meeting, a casual introduction, or an unexpected phone call. But the moment she speaks, the ambient noise of the room will seem to fade into the background. Your heart will not race, your palms will not sweat. You will instantly recognize the gate of peace. A profound, heavy stillness will wash over your chest. You will look at her, and your activated intuition will confirm that you are looking at the courier of heaven. When she offers you the opportunity, the funding, or the exact key you have been praying for, you will not sabotage it. You will not push it away out of a fear of hidden agendas. Because your brain is now operating on the God frequency, you will reach out and accept it with the quiet confidence of a royal heir claiming their inheritance. And in that exact second, In the unseen realm, the stolen generational mantle of your bloodline will be lowered onto your shoulders. You will feel the spiritual weight of it. It will feel like a heavy, warm garment settling over your back. But unlike before, it will not crush you. Your daily audio ritual has upgraded your biological capacity. You will carry the authority, the wealth, and the massive influence of that mantle with absolute, breathtaking ease. This is the glorious reality that awaits you. You are inches away from the finish line. But before I ask you to make your final vow and seal this reality forever, I must issue an urgent, critical warning. There is a cowardly counterattack. The enemy is going to launch within the next 24 hours to stop this manifestation. He knows he cannot stop the woman from finding you, so he is going to try to break your seal before tomorrow morning. He will not send a massive, earth-shattering tragedy because you are too spiritually awake to fall for that. You would recognize a giant attack instantly and raise your shields. Instead, the enemy is going to send a microscopic annoyance. Within the next 24 hours, you are going to experience a highly specific, irritating trigger. It might be an unexpected bill in the mail. It might be a passive-aggressive text message from someone you have not spoken to in months. It might be a sudden, inexplicable technical failure with your car or your computer, or a petty argument that seems to start out of nowhere. You must understand the strategy behind this annoyance. The enemy's entire goal is to shock your nervous system back into the beta frequency. He wants to trigger your hyper-independence. He wants you to get angry, to panic, and to declare that nothing has changed and you still have to fight for everything yourself. If you take the bait and drop into that low-frequency anger, you will shatter the seal we just placed over your spirit, and the mantle will slip right off your shoulders. When this specific annoyance happens, and I guarantee you it will happen soon, I want you to mentally freeze. Do not react. Do not type a furious response. In your mind, I want you to visualize a massive, heavy iron shield slamming down between your piece and that trigger. Take one slow, deliberate breath and remind yourself that this is only a test of your new frequency. You will look at that annoyance and simply say in your mind, I see the bait, and I refuse to take it. My frequency is locked. Now, as we stand at the threshold of your new reality, the spiritual realm requires your explicit, conscious consent to carry the weight of this generational mantle. I am going to issue 3 binding vows. You do not need to speak them aloud, but I want you to answer them with absolute, unshakable conviction in the deepest vault of your mind. Question 1. The vow of strategic silence. Do you swear to protect this miracle while it is still in its infancy? Do you promise to keep your mouth shut, refusing to cast your pearls before swine, and hiding your divine encounters from those who are committed to misunderstanding you? If you agree to protect the seed, say yes in your spirit right now. Question 2. The vow of frequency discipline. The matrix will constantly try to drag you back into the static of survival and panic. Do you commit to guarding your brain waves like a sacred temple? Do you vow to engage with your 7-minute audio activation ritual faithfully, using this sound technology as your daily shield to maintain the God frequency, no matter how chaotic the world around you gets? If you agree to defend your mind and uphold the frequency of the mantle, say yes in your spirit right now. Question 3. The vow of receptivity. Do you vow to forgive yourself for the heavy walls you had to build just to survive your past trauma? And more importantly, do you swear to lower the drawbridge, surrender your hyper-independence, and open your hands completely when the shalom, the true, unconditional restitution, finally knocks on your door? If you agree to accept the overpayment of heaven without suspicion, say yes in your spirit right now. To permanently record this 3-fold vow in the physical realm, I want you to type the words, I take the vow, in the comments below. Let that phrase stand as your digital signature, confirming to the universe that you have accepted the terms of your inheritance. Heaven has heard your vows. The angelic forces have recorded your consent. The frequency is locked and the transaction is complete. By the highest authority of the Creator, I declare that you have officially graduated from the wilderness. The long, agonizing season of hupomeno, the season of crushing endurance and silent suffering, is dead and buried. You are no longer an orphan wandering in the matrix. You are a fully vested, restored heir of the kingdom, stepping directly into the greatest wealth transfer and spiritual elevation your bloodline has ever witnessed. Your spiritual receiver is now crystal clear. The woman assigned to bring your restitution has a locked target on your exact coordinates, and there is no counterfeit that can deceive you anymore. Let the enemy tremble, because you are finally awake. Your trauma is disarmed, and you are vibrating at a frequency the darkness cannot comprehend and cannot touch. This broadcast is officially concluded, but the frequency continues. I release you into your season of shalom. I command you to stay exactly as you are for the next 30 seconds. Do not click away. Do not look at another video. Do not let the noise of the world rush back into your mind. Just sit in this profound, heavy silence. Feel the new atmosphere in your room. Feel the weight of the mantle settling on your shoulders. Let the frequency seal itself into your bones. The wait is over.